beautiful eyes, already open, ready to take on the world. I was holding her, and when I woke up, she was gone. She was my baby. She was, Mom. I felt her. I knew her. She was mine.
Let's talk about Kristina. This is her baby, her egg, and she carried it for 8.5 months. Despite her decision to let Molly adopt the child, she's grieving the loss of her biological child. We need to offer her some grace during this incredibly sad time. Now, where is Blaze? Kristina's love life has been challenging, and Blaze has been a significant part of it. Given the tragedy and Kristina's current situation, it's puzzling that Blaze hasn't been mentioned or seen. As a fan of the Craze storyline, this absence is quite disappointing. Imagine if Kristina had kept the baby. Her ongoing struggles would have made TJ and Molly's lives incredibly difficult. She promised the child to her sister and the baby's biological father. It's clear she would have continually shifted the goalposts on Molly's rights to the baby. Another point of frustration is the lack of focus on seeing and holding the baby. In real life, people are given the chance to hold their deceased child. So why isn't this happening in Soapland? While I'm not a fan of storylines involving baby deaths, in this case, it might have been for the best. Kristina's reaction to the baby being hers felt unsettling, and it's clear she would have struggled with giving Molly any rights. Ava was right. Kristina shouldn't have been involved. Portia's presence is starting to grate on me, and the fact that no one has asked to see the baby is troubling. The baby shouldn't just disappear without acknowledgement. It's heartbreaking to see this situation impact Kristina, Molly, and TJ, but I'm concerned it might break up Molly and TJ. On a positive note, it's nice to see Jason and Sunny working together again. Despite the baby being intended for Molly and TJ, Kristina had every right to mourn as the child was legally hers until the adoption papers were signed. Ultimately, all this controversy highlights why the outcome of this storyline might be for the best. The situation could have torn the family apart even further. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. Let's address the fundamental point. Biologically, the baby was Kristina and TJ's. Kristina carried her almost to term, so it's understandable that Kristina feels a profound sense of loss and has every right to mourn. I empathize with Kristina's pain, but it's crucial to remember that she was preparing to hurt her sister by keeping her baby. Molly didn't deserve that kind of distress, and given the circumstances, this might have been the best outcome for everyone involved. While Kristina carried the baby, it's important to recognize the emotional strength required to hand over a child to another couple, even if she was acting as a surrogate. This is a unique and challenging situation, and Kristina's feelings are valid, but her role was complex. It's disappointing that neither Kristina, TJ, nor Molly were given the chance to hold and say goodbye to the baby. This oversight is a significant missed opportunity by GH, and it's a poignant detail that should have been addressed. Although I have sympathy for Kristina's loss, she had agreed to give the baby to her sister as part of their arrangement. Her actions have seemed selfish at times, and while I didn't anticipate the storyline taking this turn, I'm eager to move past the my baby scenes. Despite this, Kate Mansi's portrayal of Kristina is exceptional, and I've grown to appreciate her performance. It's heartbreaking to think about Kristina carrying the baby for 8.5 months, feeling every movement and kick, only to face this sudden loss. Everyone needs time to grieve, including TJ, Molly, and Kristina, who had a significant connection to the baby. Kristina's visit to Ava's was a misstep. While Ava should not have pushed her, Kristina's presence there was problematic. I had a nagging feeling something might happen, as it's hard to imagine Kristina willingly handing over the baby and then stepping back without showing any emotion. Finally, I have to commend the actress for her performance. The raw emotion and pain she conveyed were incredibly powerful. Whether or not she has experienced a similar loss in real life, her acting was truly impressive and deeply moving. It seems many people aren't fully grasping that until Kristina officially gives up her rights and hands the baby over to Molly, it's still considered her baby. This distinction is crucial and often overlooked. Kristina agreed to be a surrogate for Molly and TJ, but she carried the baby for 8.5 months. During this time, she formed a bond and her motherly instincts naturally kicked in. It's understandable that she didn't anticipate this outcome and is grieving deeply. Regardless of the circumstances, losing a child is a profound loss. I'm concerned that Molly and TJ's relationship may not survive this loss. They need to grieve together, and honestly, I never saw them as a strong parenting team. There seems to be a lack of chemistry between them, and I suspect they hoped the baby would bring them closer. While some might disagree, it's possible Kristina could have been a better parent in this situation. Watching Kristina today, especially after dreaming about the baby, highlights the deep emotional connection she has with her child. Although it wasn't her baby to keep, as she carried her for 8.5 months, it's natural for Kristina to feel a significant loss. Once again, Sunny's lifestyle comes into play. Kristina requested her dad to take care of Ava, showcasing how Sunny's influence extends even in these personal matters. Despite the surrogacy agreement, Kristina's emotional attachment to the baby makes sense. All three, Kristina, Molly, and TJ, have the right to mourn this loss in their own ways. There's been some discussion on YouTube about Blaze not being present at the hospital and going with her mother instead. Initially, I was bothered by this, but today's developments make me see Kristina's behavior in a different light. How can you be awake for 2 days after a major fall and not inquire about your girlfriend or check if she's around? It's good to see Kristina finally acknowledging her loss and the end of her journey with the child. This acceptance is crucial for her healing process. In her dream, it was evident she had already formed a deep bond with the baby, highlighting her grief and the path she needs to take toward healing. Imagine this. The surrogate, who was initially thought to have had a miscarriage, discovers the tragic news about Kristina losing the baby. Feeling a moral obligation, she decides to give the baby to Molly and TJ, or they might encounter her with the baby unexpectedly. Given their legal contract, Molly and TJ would be entitled to custody. However, in classic GH fashion, Kristina might have a mental breakdown and kidnap the baby from Molly and TJ, believing the child is rightfully hers. It's a wild theory, but with GH's penchant for drama, it could definitely happen. Now, on to the emotional scenes we've witnessed. Kate Mansi's portrayal has been incredible. It's only natural for Kristina to experience such deep emotions after carrying the baby for 8.5 months. If she hadn't, it would have felt less authentic. Kate's performance truly brought tears to my eyes and made the scene unforgettable. While Kristina was prepared to give up the baby to her sister and brother-in-law, the bond she formed during the pregnancy is undeniable. The way she lost the baby only intensifies this connection. I'm curious, did TJ and Molly attend any of the doctor's visits? Did they hear the heartbeat or see sonogram pictures? From what we've seen, their involvement seemed limited to giving directives about the pregnancy. This aspect feels overlooked and could add more depth to their story. It's frustrating how some people act as though the baby wasn't Kristina's. Biologically, the baby was hers. Despite promising the child to her sister, Kristina's grief is genuine because the baby was part of her life for so long. Of course, Kristina has every right to mourn. She carried that precious life inside her for 8.5 months. However, she had a verbal agreement with Molly and TJ to be their surrogate because Molly couldn't have a child on her own. Kristina's repeated claims of the baby being hers, especially given her agreement, isn't a good look for the portrayal of surrogacy on GH. A more positive spin on the process would have been ideal, but as always, it's a soap opera. Talk about the baby. The baby on the death certificate seemed to be much smaller than what we saw on screen. It's hard to believe she weighed just over 5 pounds. Despite this, the baby was absolutely beautiful with those stunning brown eyes. The way she looked at Kristina was just perfect. It's incredibly sad that things ended this way. As a new mom myself, I can't imagine the heartbreak Kristina must be feeling. She wasn't just a surrogate. She carried the baby herself, and it was her egg. The bond she formed was profound, and it's a heartbreaking situation. On the flip side, ending the storyline this way might have been the only way to prevent complete destruction of the relationship between Molly and Kristina. Since the baby was biologically Kristina's, any other outcome might have led to a prolonged conflict involving the Korimpos family. It could have jeopardized Molly and TJ's marriage as well. While Kristina shouldn't have gone to Ova's, it's important to remember that Ava played a significant role in the situation. If Ava hadn't subpoenaed Kristina, the baby might not have been lost. Ava's actions contributed to the tragedy, and she's been dishonest about her involvement. Ava's handling of the situation has been questionable, and it's clear she bears some responsibility. Sonny's reactions reflect his past experiences with Carly and AJ. Seeing his daughter go through such pain must be incredibly tough for him. Kristina's request for Sonny to take action against Ava indicates that she's fully aware of her father's capabilities and is using them in her grief. As annoying as Kristina's repeated claims of "my baby" might have been, they resonate with anyone who has experienced loss. I recall my own emotional state during a similar situation, and Kristina's scene with her mom felt very real and relatable. It's also worth noting that while Ava's actions led to this tragedy, her behavior towards Kristina and her manipulation for custody of Avery adds another layer to this complex storyline. Ava's lack of concern for Avery's well-being and her deceitful actions have only exacerbated the situation. It's clear Kristina was never going to give up the baby easily. Her raw anguish over losing her baby was palpable, and it's understandable why she struggled so much. This storyline took an unexpected turn, but in some ways, it might have been the best outcome for everyone involved. Kristina's presence in Ava's room was questionable, but my heart goes out to TJ. He's now lost 2 babies, and this loss will undoubtedly strain his relationship with Molly. It's frustrating to see TJ being villainized for his concern, especially when his pain is so real. Here's a wild theory. What if Rick is making the return to GH and somehow orchestrated the baby's disappearance? Imagine if Rick facilitated Molly and TJ adopting a baby that turns out to be Kristina's. I was momentarily hopeful at the beginning of today's episode, thinking I missed a plot twist, but it turned out to be just a dream. The handling of the baby's death has been troubling. It felt rushed, and we didn't get to see any meaningful closure. The room was cleared out so quickly, and it's unclear what happened to Kristina and TJ's baby. The lack of a proper farewell felt like a missed opportunity for emotional depth. Despite the surrogacy agreement, the baby was biologically Kristina's, and she carried her for 8.5 months. The bond that forms during pregnancy is incredibly strong. As a parent, I understand the attachment Kristina felt and why she's grieving so deeply. It's a natural reaction to such a profound loss. Even if Kristina promised to stay detached, it's nearly impossible not to fall in love with a baby you've carried. It's heartbreaking to think about how difficult it must be for Kristina to let go. I can empathize with Kristina's feelings, and while her decision to confront Ava was problematic, Ava's actions certainly contributed to the situation. Ava should have handled things differently, especially given how Kristina tried to walk away the first time. Ava's interference has only added to the turmoil between Kristina and Molly. Kristina's pain is undeniable. She carried that baby for nearly 9 months, and it's entirely natural for her to grieve deeply. The baby was biologically hers, and she has every right to mourn the loss of the life she nurtured. This isn't just about the surrogacy agreement, it's about the personal connection and bond she formed with the baby. It seems like GH is giving Kristina some space before asking if she wants to say goodbye to the baby. Given that she didn't officially sign away her rights, she might be planning a funeral or taking time to come to terms with her loss before making any decisions. This storyline took a surprising turn. I was bracing myself for a custody battle, not a baby's death. The sudden shift was a real shocker. And then, to see Jason and Sunny interacting, as if nothing ever happened between them, was just as surprising. What do you need me to do? On a different note, I'm curious about the actress who originally played Molly. Is she ever coming back, or is GH moving forward with a new actress? It's been tough for me to adjust to the new Molly after watching the original actress for so long. Also, can anyone else relate to feeling over TJ lately? He's been a bit of a frustration for me. The criticism of Kristina's feelings is frustrating. Put yourself in her shoes for a moment. She was the biological mother because it was her egg, not Molly's. Kristina wanted to be the one to tell Molly about the baby's death, which shows her deep connection and pain. She apologized to Molly for losing the baby, and they managed to reconcile, showing that Kristina's feelings are valid. Unless you've carried a baby and lost it, it's hard to understand the depth of Kristina's emotions. She never expected to feel this way when she agreed to be a surrogate. But once she felt the baby moving inside her, everything changed. The attachment she developed is real and significant. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.